jobs creation. What should that plan include? Joining us now with some thoughts on all this to weigh in, Republican Congressman Mike Coffman of Colorado and Democratic Congressman Frank Pallone of New Jersey. Gentlemen, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Let me begin by asking you, Congressman Pallone, the unemployment numbers that just came out are down just a bit, but isn't it true that that was factored in because there were temporary workers factored into those numbers, and that the unemployment rate is still quite high, and that 10%, anything over 10%, is something we just can't ignore?
I think it is high, and I think the president recognizes that, and that's why he is moving forward with a program to try to create jobs.
But at the same time, the White House says that its efforts so far have stimulated the economy enough to put more people back to work. Let me ask you, Congressman Coffman, small business owners are crying out, saying that they need tax cuts to help their businesses to be able to hire more workers. You were a small business owner for quite some time. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I've had 17 years as a small business owner and 1 year in the Congress. And today I agree with the Wall Street Journal editorial pages when they say the best thing that Congress could do to stimulate the economy is to adjourn and go home until 2011. Because this second round of the stimulus is just more of the same of the first round that has failed and just driven the deficit.
But Congressman Pallone, do you think that this White House is going to pay closer attention to the idea of tax cuts for businesses?
Absolutely. One of the things the president is talking about are tax cuts that would essentially encourage small businesses to hire more people. So if they start hiring, they would benefit from some kind of a tax cut or credit.
We're hearing also talk of another massive stimulus plan that would incorporate millions of dollars. What do you think the chances of that happening are, given the fact that it's been very difficult to track a lot of the jobs that have been created as a result of the first stimulus?
Well, this is a much smaller initiative, and it is different in the sense that there is an infrastructure component to create, construction jobs, but there's also an energy component to basically have a cash credit program for people to redo their homes or their businesses to make them more energy efficient. There's also an effort essentially to provide money back to the states to shore up jobs. This would be for health care, for example, to help states pay for their Medicaid program. So it's a lot more tailored, if you will, to try to do things right away. And I would really stress that small business component to try to give a tax break, if you will, to small businesses if they start hiring. We're also trying to get the banks and community banks in particular to start lending more. Because
that seems to be on hold at the moment because so many banks that received bailout money are simply holding on to those funds and not releasing the credit to so many people that are, crying out for it, Congressman Coffman.
Well, it's true, and I think that there are some regulatory issues that this administration needs to address. On one hand, they're saying lend more money. On the other hand, they have regulatory provisions. The regulators are coming down on banks and are creating conditions where it's very difficult to lend. So we need to have more of a balanced regulatory approach when it comes to the credit markets and banks. But let me say, if we look at what this Pelosi-led Congress has done, let's look at first of all the $787 billion of wasted money in round one of the stimulus, and now we're going to do more of the same in round two. And then look what's ahead for small business, the job creator of this country, of this economy. It's government-run health care, it's cap and trade, and it's card check. All three raising the cost of doing business in this country and killing jobs.
What do you say to that, Congressman Pallone?
Well, I totally disagree that the stimulus has not helped create jobs. I mean, every authority has said that it's created over 600,000 jobs, and if it wasn't for the fact that we had the stimulus, those unemployment numbers would be much higher.
But some of those numbers have been misreported in some of the states where we were told that X amount of jobs were created by X amount of dollars, and when you did more scrutiny, it didn't add up. And there are some communities still crying out for some some of that money to create those jobs.
Well, about a third of the money has been spent. I mean, there's still another two-thirds that's out there that still is going to be spent and will stimulate the economy for the next 6 months. But every authority I've seen says, look, a lot of jobs were created. There were major tax breaks in that Stimulus or Recovery Act, and it has stabilized the economy. And the economy actually is starting to grow now. And the question really is, let's create more jobs and attack that unemployment problem.
Well, the debate's going to rage on, gentlemen. I know that we're going to keep close watch on how this all unfolds and look forward